What is a rival? An enemy? An opponent? Someone you need to beat to prove yourself to be the best, like no one else has ever been? No. A rival is a blessing in disguise, a long-time challenger pushing your abilities to the limits, to strive for perfection, to push your strength to unreachable levels, to make possible what you always thought was impossible, for the love of competing and to become a legend. Two brands from Japan, two rally names, two iconic cars, one immortal battle. This is the story of the legendary rivalry between the Subaru Impreza and the Mitsubishi Lancer Revolution. Back in the 80s, Japan was living its best life. Right after the post-World War II recovery, the mainland economy saw a never-stopping growth that culminated right in the 80s, with many different social developments, lifestyle changes, and industrial strengthening. Brands and manufacturers from the fields of technology, food, transportation, and many more were establishing themselves as powerhouses not only on a national level, but even breaking into the international scene. In the world of cars and motors, despite a general glowing of several different iconic brands we still know today, there was one that imposed itself as the pinnacle of the Japanese automotive industry, as well as an international motorsport icon too: Nissan. The Yokohama-based company put into effect a marketing strategy that has been already vastly used in the US in the previous years, and that can be summarized into a short, simple phrase: what wins on Sunday sells on Monday. And right in those years, there was a car that was winning and vastly dominating all of the racing series it took part in: the Skyline R32. What Nissan made was to boast its racing activities and successes as a way to promote their street cars to the public, and thus increasing sales and profits. Everyone wanted a Skyline. Everyone wanted to drive the car that made its competitors tremble for its power. Everyone wanted to be a part of that success, because the Skyline wasn't just a car limited to race tracks. It was an icon that everyone could own privately. And that was the real charm of this marketing strategy. Watching the success of Nissan unfolding, there were two manufacturers that wanted to follow the same path: Subaru and Mitsubishi. The two Japanese brands weren't very active in the world of touring cars and racetrack-bred cars. What they were active in, however, was rally. Both companies wanted to craft an icon of motor racing, a car that could be looked at in the same way as the Skyline was seen by the masses, a machine designed to win the World Rally Championship and make inroads in the heart of car enthusiasts. And so, the Subaru Impreza and the Lancer Revolution came to life. As we said before, Subaru and Mitsubishi weren't new to rally. Both manufacturers had a history of competitions in the WRC, with cars such as the Subaru Leon, the Legacy RS Turbo, or the Mitsubishi Starion 4-wheel drive and the Galant VR4. Despite being pretty famous names, those cars never gathered many great results in their long history of racing, due to a lack of performance compared to lighter and more powerful cars such as Lancia and Toyota. That was the main issue of the two Japanese manufacturers. Their cars were too heavy, too large and slow. And that's why the Impreza and the Evolution came to life, to overcome those problems and reach the same level of performance of their competitors. Both manufacturers, despite being two separate brand realities, incredibly followed an almost identical path while building their models. Subaru recognized that a smaller, nimbler car would make a better platform for a rally car, and the new Impreza was 160 mm shorter in overall length compared to the Legacy. It also had a more neutral front-to-rear weight ratio and even featured an active differential, the first one for a rally car. On the overall, it was a promising racer, also thanks to the 300 brake horsepower engine retained from the Legacy, but improved with a new turbo, intercooler and cylinder heads, and with an overall weight of just 1,200 kilograms, the bare minimum required for the Group A racing class eligibility. On the other side, Mitsubishi made more drastic changes to its new model. The Evolution was in fact 260 mm shorter in length than the Galant, and lost an astonishing 200 kilograms thanks to a near-to-extreme weight reduction that involved a McPherson multi-link suspension system, a 20% more rigid chassis and the consequent complete removal of anti-vibration coating. But still, it retained the same engine of its forerunner, improved by just 10 brake horsepower, which brought to an overall 260 brake horsepower. Nevertheless, both cars succeeded their main target: being agile, light, and most importantly, fast from the very beginning. The two teams debuted their new models in 1993 in the World Rally Championship, and over time slowly built a roster of excellent drivers such as Colin McRae, Tommy Mäkinen, Carlos Sainz, Kenneth Eriksson, and even Richard Burns. Two competitors with extremely similar and competitive cars paired with the greatest racing talents of that time. Everyone could predict that an intense battle ahead was in the air, but no one could say that this was just the beginning of a 30 years long rivalry. The legend was just starting. Despite both teams debuting at nearly the same time, they took two divergent paths for their car development. Subaru debuted the Impreza just after 7 rounds of the 1993 season, and upon that, it became the full-time car for their WRC program. In 1994, the team showed to be just as competitive as the defending champion Toyota, fighting for the crown, as well as vastly dominating the 1995 season, thanks to 5 wins out of 8 rounds in the hands of veteran Carlos Sainz and the young talent Colin McRae. Subaru was already turning upside down the playing field, thanks to an extremely fast car driven by the two of the hottest names in the rally world of that time. The same couldn't be said for Mitsubishi. Despite being as competitive in raw pace as the Subaru, the Rally Art branded team took 1993, 1994 and 1995 as learning seasons to quietly gather important data, resources and a solid roster of drivers. The team in fact only took part in only 10 out of 23 rounds in 1993 and 1994 combined, while increasing their activity in 1995, taking part in almost all of the events of the season. And that was the formula that granted its upcoming success. Mitsubishi relied on a solid team, slowly built over time, with patience and dedication, comprised of a fast and reliable car and an overall peaceful working environment. Subaru instead faced several problems right from the beginning, and especially when the real battle against Mitsubishi started in 1996. The team wasn't as solid as Mitsubishi for many different reasons. The car was extremely fast, probably the fastest in the field, but most of the time it didn't even arrive at the finish line due to a poor reliability and inconsistency of the drivers, especially by Colin McRae, famous for his make-or-break philosophy. All of this slowly started to trigger some internal conflicts and even enmities between the two main drivers that worsened over time and caused a duplication of effort for the ProDrive team. But how did all of this influence the scenario of the world title battle? Subaru, despite relying on more resources and drivers than its main rival, failed to materialize their potential most of the time. Mitsubishi, on the other hand, optimized their fewer resources to just one driver, Tommi Mäkinen. The Finnish master proved right from the beginning to be extremely consistent and fast with his car, and out of 9 rounds he finished 6 times on the podium, achieving 5 wins, 1 second place, a 5th place and 2 retirements. Needless to say that he absolutely dominated the season, winning the Driver Championship with 1 round in advance. However, despite his effort, Mitsubishi didn't win the Manufacturer Championship. With just Tommi Mäkinen as a full-time driver in the lineup, Mitsubishi couldn't hold the pace of Subaru ProDrive, which relied on 2 full-time drivers instead of just 1, and won at the end the Manufacturer Championship with its Impreza by a comfortable margin of 79 points. But that didn't stop the captivating spirit of the Japanese team. Despite all of that, the 1997 season was tighter than ever between the 2 Japanese rivals. Mäkinen and McRae fought with consistency and determination right from the start, and none of them wanted to yield. Until mid-season, when from the Rally of Greece, McRae collected 4 consecutive retirements, giving a huge advantage to Tommi Mäkinen, that with just 3 rounds left in the championship, saw the dream of another world title materializing more and more. However, McRae didn't give up, and won all of the remaining events in the attempt to recover from his mistakes. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough, as he lost the championship by 1 single point, giving Mäkinen and Mitsubishi another consecutive title. Again, Subaru won the Manufacturer Championship like the previous year, thanks to the excellent drive of Piero Liatti and Kenneth Eriksson. But little did they know that it was the last one of their entire motorsport career. From 1998 onward, Subaru slowly lost performance against the rising Toyota and Peugeot, and most importantly, Mitsubishi. The Japanese team looked unstoppable in every single field, winning both Drivers' and Manufacturer Championship in 1998, and once again the Drivers' Championship in 1999 with Tommi Mäkinen, 4 consecutive world titles, awarding him the first ever back-to-back poker in the WRC history. And then it all vanished. Slowly, both teams started to struggle to keep the pace of the rivals, to all the new names in the sport, and in the end, the rivalry in the WRC came to an end. The last swan song of this legendary rivalry happened in 2001, with Richard Burns winning in the Subaru against Tommi Mäkinen, still in the Mitsubishi Lancer, after the greatest and longest season both teams had the honor to battle. But after that, there was nothing left to fight for. While Subaru won another World Driver title in 2003 with Petter Solberg, Mitsubishi seriously struggled as a whole. The difference was like night and day, the last team of the entire field in 2002. With a non-competitive car that had no margins of development and less investments from the motherland of the rally program, Mitsubishi took the drastic decision to quit the sport in 2005, leaving a void in a championship that will be forever marked by its own legendary tale. A start of the new millennium, a raging rivalry that inevitably flickered in front of the never-stopping landscape changes. After a few more years as an appearance of the sport, Subaru joined the Mitsubishi in 2008, leaving the WRC and consequently the whole rally program, marking the end of one of the greatest rivalry in the World Rally Championship, but also of the entire automotive culture. Everything ends eventually, even if deep down we hope that those fairy romance tales will live forever. But after all, that's what makes the memories of the past valuable, and the tales of those 2 legends immortal. Even if sometimes these stories are not marked by a happy ending, we are still glad to have lived through those amazing battles. And that is all we can say for both Mitsubishi and Subaru, 2 motorsport giants fighting for the same crown, dancing around the timeless spaces of the rally world, giving us the greatest battles we can think of for our modern days. And even if it all came to an end, even if those names now peacefully live just in our memories, their legend will live forever, as there will probably never be an equivalent tale like the Impreza against the Evolution.